But there was another doozy in this story that I want to address. So Joe Biden was addressing trade. Let me read this part to you from NPR. But if voters wanted a third term of the Obama administration, would they not have chosen Hillary Clinton in 2016? Biden disagreed with that assessment. I campaigned like the devil for Hillary, but Hillary had different positions than the president had, and she emphasized different aspects of what would have occurred had I been the nominee. That doesn't mean I would have won. I don't mean that. And he says this is a very different campaign because of Donald Trump. We weren't facing anything that we're facing today with this president 3 years ago. The next president is going to have to be able to pull the world back together. Not a joke. He likes to say that. You know, first of all, the first lie in here, when he says Hillary had different positions than the president had. Yeah, you're right. She was claiming to be against the TPP, but her record indicated she was for the TPP. She called it the gold standard, and that's what killed her in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Your president, Obama, was very much for the TPP. So were you. You were trying to talk Hillary Clinton into standing by the TPP in 2016. If she would have done that, she probably would have lost even more. But what's even better about this is what Biden said next. On resetting U.S. trade policy and addressing climate change as key priorities, Biden drew a distinction from Obama. The idea that we would have another trade agreement without environmentalists and labor sitting at the negotiating table with us will not happen in a Biden administration, he said. Biden, he said, if elected, would renegotiate the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, rather than fully supporting the initial plan as proposed. As vice president, he had been a vocal supporter of the original TPP agreement. Well, it's interesting that Biden suddenly demands that labor be at the table for any trade agreements. I don't remember Biden saying any of this when he voted for NAFTA. Do you folks with a memory remember Joe Biden fighting the good fight so that NAFTA had labor and environmentalists at the table, along with the banks and the corporations that wrote NAFTA? I don't recall Biden really pushing that language for the TPP, which the labor and the unions that Joe Biden claims to be a champion for are vehemently against. So this is all Mitt Romney level flip-floppery-f***ery. Excuse my French. Oh, I like that. Flip-floppery-f***ery. Joe Biden's reinventing history. He wasn't against the Iraq war before it. He certainly wasn't against it directly after. He certainly hasn't done a damn thing for unions. He pushed NAFTA and voted for it, and that was the first gunshot to the union movement. Well, the Koch brothers were really the beginning of the unraveling of the union movement, the same Koch brothers that funded the Democratic Leadership Council that spawned Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and the rest of these creature robot corporate Democrats. But Joe Biden is now pretending that he's a fighter for the labor unions, that no trade deal will happen without unions and environmentalists sitting at the table with a scalpel. And he also claims that he would renegotiate the TPP. Well, in 2016, you were basically borrowing language from Hillary Clinton, calling it the gold standard. So why in 2016 were you pushing hard for it, and you didn't think anything needed to be changed in the TPP? But suddenly in 2019, when you want the votes in Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, it cannot pass in its current language. You know what that's called, folks? What Joe Biden's going to do? He will become president, change the sentence. We renegotiated the TPP, put in some artificial crumbs that make it look like there's stronger protections for labor and this and that. He will sign the TPP into law and then watch as whatever factories are remaining in the Rust Belt. And it's not just the Rust Belt. Other areas are affected too by these absurd criminal corporate trade deals that put people out of work, lose people their health care, destroy families, and so on. You know what I'm talking about if you're from these areas. TPP will be the final nail in the labor movement's coffin if it were to be passed. And that's why I think in this next debate, hopefully Bernie Sanders is more aggressive in pointing out Biden's lies on Iraq, Biden's record on TPP, on NAFTA, on other trade deals, because this is the core message that those folks in Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania need to hear. Biden's doing fairly well in those states right now. I don't expect him to do that well once his record is out there. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.